Here we go. So the Steelers are trading George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboy. He's a Cowboy. Let me just say right now, I am. Um, I say this. Just positives to me. I don't know how many. I don't know how. I don't know. I think there's more negatives to be honest. Um, First, I think I don't like Dallas not getting him under contract now because we know how stingy Dallas is in free agency. We know how stingy Dallas is in free agency. So come free agency time, Dallas going if Dallas looking like, hey, we know how they are. Come free agency, they don't want to pay people. And I'm thinking with CeeDee Lamb getting a lot of double coverage, he's gonna get he may have a good season, and he's gonna get some money. I think in the open market. I think the dude could play. Now he has his locker room concerns. That's another negative I'm going to bring up here soon. But I think the big thing for me is just like, dude, how what is his? Because like you can't give up a third round pick this year and a fifth round pick in 2027, which 2027 is going to be a legit a one in a maybe a century draft. I mean, like not it's like those drafts. I mean, 2027, you think, oh, his fifth round pick is nothing. In 2027, a fifth round pick is damn near worth like that. You could get a superstar choice in the fifth round. Like that's how loaded that draft class is in 2027. So to be given a 27th round pick in that fifth round, like I just think that's a for that draft class, especially most draft classes, it kind of is what it is. But in 2027, man, that's going to be a special class. So I'm not too keen on that. And then a third round pick next year, I'm also not keen on that because I don't think Dallas is going to be very good. So what really is a third round pick next year could end up being a late second. Really, if you look at it, when it comes to how Dallas is going to look, I think the Steelers won this trade. You get a kid, you get this. Well, he's a kid. He's not a man. He's a kid. You get a kid out of the locker room. You don't have to deal with him anymore. Um, if you're Mike Tomlin, I mean, he knew how good the dude was, but obviously he said like, dude, we can't do this. This is not going to work here. For Mike Tomlin to give him away like that, well, not give him away like it's for nothing, but to let him go tells me a lot. That's not really a good sign to me, especially when he wasn't asking out. It was not really his decision. Um, and I think the Steelers didn't want to have to pay him and Metcalf big money, and they knew that. I'm assuming they knew he was asking for big money. So I think what's going to happen now is he's going to come in here and try to prove himself to Dallas to get big money, and I think he's going to end up leaving in free agency. I don't see him staying in Dallas. I think Dallas is going to have a bad season, and I just see it as a 1 year rental type of thing. And a fifth round pick in 2027, and a third round pick next year, which is going to be an early second. And that fifth round pick in 27 is going to be like a late, or I mean, that third round pick next year is going to be like a late second, and that fifth round pick in 2027 is going to be like a late fourth, which is going to be really, really valuable. I wouldn't trade any picks in 2027. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a late fourth in 2027. It's going to come back burning them. I don't think Dallas is going to be very good. I don't see it. Uh, and I do think this dude can ball. I think he can be a problem on the field. I have no doubts about it. That's not really my concern. My concern is this a one? This is looking like more like it's going to be a 1 year rental. Um, and my thing with receiver is it's one of the easiest positions to find is receivers. So like if I'm Dallas, like I just think Dallas is just completely mismanaged that receiving, like the whole receiving board and all that. But I am not a fan of the trade just because he's probably gonna be a 1 year rental because Dallas is probably not going to pay him, and they can't because they still people are forgetting they still have to pay Michael Parsons. So that's what I don't like either. You're gonna first it's okay, we just gotta pay Michael Parsons and it is what it is. Now you have to pay Michael Parsons and to pay George Pickens. What if George Pickens is asking for? He's probably gonna ask for somewhere around $100 million. The season he's gonna have 11, 1,200 yard a year. He's gonna ask for probably top 15, top 10 receiver. He's gonna be well. The season is about to have. He's gonna have a 1,000+ yard year, and he's gonna be on the come up going into his prime. He's gonna ask for big money. Dallas is not. I don't know how Dallas is gonna pay that. How are you gonna pay that if you're Dallas? How are you gonna pay a team that stinks two receivers $100 million plus? How are you gonna do it? And you gotta pay Michael Parsons $200 million plus. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I just don't get it. That's why I don't get how you could do something like this. That's why I don't like the move. Personally, because I just think it's a 1 year thing. I think after this season he'll be gone to somebody else who actually pay him and doesn't have a lot of and doesn't have CeeDee Lamb on the books already. That's the reason why Pittsburgh traded him, because they couldn't, they were not good enough to invest that much money into their wide receiver position. That's why they traded him. Dallas is the same position. They're not good enough to invest that much money in the wide receiver position. I don't agree with the trade. I probably give it a C to an F, just because of 1 year rental. And then on top of that, you're trying to build a locker room and a culture, and this guy is a culture vulture, and he is gonna cut. He can come and destroy a culture in an instant. Had Pittsburgh not had a set culture for the past freaking since the inception of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've had a culture there, dude. He it would have. I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out who's going to check him in Dallas, because this guy still hasn't grown up yet. He's still a kid. When things go bad in Dallas, he's gonna be the one. He's gonna be part of the problem. He's gonna be the one slamming the helmet. He's gonna be the one making national news for the wrong reasons. He's gonna be the one yelling at Prescott. Now you got Prescott. Now you got him and Lamb yelling at Prescott. Don't forget, Lamb was the one losing games or going to strip clubs or filming music videos or whatever. I just like I don't. I look. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Dallas is desperate because they need to win this year for their fan base, but I am not a fan at all, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a whole. I don't think it's all that of a move, especially for a 1 year rental. And you give him a third and a fifth round pick in 2027, and a third round pick in 2026. I'm not a fan of it, dude. I think Pittsburgh won this trade because they get draft cap, really good draft capital back for a guy instead of losing him for nothing, which is what Dallas is probably gonna be doing with Micah Parsons. Um, and yeah, I don't like. Look, he probably will ball out in the field for sure, but I don't see. I don't question. I know for a fact he's a culture vulture. He hasn't grown up yet, and who's gonna check him in Dallas? Because you got guys that are just like him. Lamb the same way. We just see how many times the Lamb yelling at Prescott. Hey, give me the ball, blah blah, all that. Just a team that's they drafted all these guys that are captains. They've been looking for leaders on their team, and we're looking for leaders, and then you get a guy that you're trying to build a culture. You get a guy that's probably one of the best culture vultures in the league. One of the I think this is a guy that can tear a culture down. He's not gonna help build your culture. He has not shown the propensity to do that. He has not shown the propensity to be a leader. So for Schottenheimer trying to build a culture, and this is what they're having to do just to together a formidable team is really embarrassing for Dallas, and it shows a mismanagement of the roster. I give it to a C to an F. I'm not a fan, and like I said, I think it'll be a 1 year rental, and I just don't think I don't think it really changes much for Dallas. Um, I'm gonna be honest. Now it does help a lot with Lamb. I think I have a big season, but um, dude, Dallas's thing is not like I just don't see. I just think for a 1 year rental is a waste of time and a waste of money. And the fact that that Dallas one of the easiest positions to find is this bad at receiver, they have to go make moves like this, tells you a lot about what Dallas has been doing the last couple of years in their draft. Horrendous. So, um, yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't think this is going to end up being anything changing much for Dallas. And I'm really interested to see how this works out, man. I just don't like a team that's trying to build a culture and then you bring in a culture vulture like this. So uh, and Joe Burrow's trending for some reason, so I had to check that out. But I just yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan. And I'm really concerned about the character, man. This guy's not a high character guy, man. He's a low character guy. I just can't get over that. A team that's trying to build a winning culture, and this guy on a championship culture, and he's just not that, dude. I mean, look at Pittsburgh. They traded him away for a reason. You don't think they wanted to give him away? They want got Metcalf. They want receivers. They want guys that can get open and be stars. But they traded him away for a reason. He's a culture vulture. Mike Tomlin isn't one of the best coaches in the league. He's all head coach. You don't give guys away for no reason. So and he wasn't asking out. So it was a Pittsburgh decision, not his decision. So I not like you. Oh, he forced his way because of the trade, and that what happened. And it wasn't unless something happened behind the scenes I ain't heard of. But yeah, I'm just not a fan for Dallas. Like I said, for the main reasons I listed real quick, just to summarize, contractually, I think he's only going to be a 1 year rental, and giving up a third and fifth round pick for 1 year rental to me is not a good move. Um, Especially in the 2027 draft class, going to be generational, once in a century. Um, and then the character for a team. It's one thing if they had an established culture. Dallas barely even just got their first rookies in yet. The first draft class in. I'm not sure even all the guys are even in Dallas yet. Um, Well, I mean they are, but they're just not getting. I mean the culture just hasn't been set in Dallas, so that concerns me too. This dude's one of the best culture vultures in the league. And so those are the top two things that concern me. On top of that, three is how you going to pay him and Micah Parsons. Back to the contractual thing. There's another point is how you going to pay him and Micah Parsons 100. He's going to because this dude's going to come and command 100 or around $100 million. So and somebody will pay it to him. Will it be Dallas? Because the plan right now is what I heard is they're going to let him go to free agency and he's going to test the market. Okay, that's fine. He could test the market. Here's my thing. The market is going to throw. He's going to get a bag on the market because he's going to be a young guy who just had a very productive season in Dallas, entering his prime. So the market's going to be massive for this kid. That's what I'm saying. So I would rather like Dallas to get it done now and get him on a cheaper deal because when he hits up, we've seen NFL, even guys like him, even if he doesn't have the stats to necessarily back it up, he just because he's young and he's going to be entering his prime, teams will bet on the potential and what he can be in their system. And especially if Dallas is bad, you say, what Dallas they were bad, blah blah. With our coaching staff, with our quarterback, with our team, he could be blah. So he may not have the stats to back it up, but he's going to get a bag because of the potential, the age, and what he can actually be in the future. And I don't, I just, I'm always concerned with players in the market because the market will always overpay. The market will, for guys that are young and are on come up, the market will almost always overpay. The market will always overpay, and it only takes one team to throw a monster bag at them. That's just like in the draft, it takes one team to draft somebody and overdraft somebody. It only takes one team to throw a bag at this kid, and then what is Dallas gonna do? If they throw $110 million at the kid, $80 million guaranteed, what do you do if you're Dallas? $90 million guaranteed, what do you do? 75, $60 million guaranteed, what do you do? How do you match that? Because Dallas, they don't have money to give away. When you make Dak Prescott $60 million a year, highest paid quarterback in the NFL, you don't have money to give away. And you still have to pay Michael Parsons, whatever, 40, $50 million a year. Good to have freaking luck. Even if they sign both the dudes, I don't know who the hell they're gonna sign after that. Y'all thought Dallas couldn't sign anybody in the past, or wouldn't sign anybody. They not gonna have any. They're not gonna contractually gonna be able to sign anybody cap space wise. I know Stephen Jones is freaking blowing the fuse right now contractually, in the future, but I just don't. Like I said, I just don't understand it. Like I said, it just takes one team to throw it. Somebody's gonna throw it, and I think multiple teams will throw it back at this kid. I wouldn't blame him, because if a team can get this guy in the right system, he can ball. His play on the field ain't the problem. I mean, he was dominating in the Pittsburgh's offense, and Pittsburgh runs a 1990s offense. Run the ball first, second down, and run play action on third down. Pittsburgh does not run a modern style of offense. They run 2023 Michigan's offense. It's bad. So I think he's gonna ball out, but and the dude could play, but man, I just don't see it for Dallas, man. They don't have $100 million to just give away. They don't have 80, $90 million in guaranteed money to just give away. They have to pay Michael Parsons. A little less attitude, dude. They have to pay Michael Parsons. Um, I just don't like it, man. I just don't like it. I'm gonna give it an F. And I think Dallas is gonna be in for. I think Dallas may be in for a little wake up. I think Dallas is in for a wake up call this season, man. Say it. So I'll leave it at that. Until next one. Yeah, I did leave it at that.